What's up, everybody? Dr. Jaws here, and tonight we are covering the small-spotted catshark, Scyliorhinus canicula. Oh, hey, Mingus, what's up? What's up? Oh, no worries. Good luck on your paper. What's your paper on? What subject is it? And also, thank you for the well wishes. I hope you're doing well as well. I got this really cool piece of art from Howard. I'm trying to upload it. So, I'm trying to put this on here. Hold on. I got my airdrop working, because it wasn't really working before. But I'm excited to cover the species. This actually has a lot more footage than I was originally expecting. And there's a lot of cool science behind the species as well, particularly with microplastics. So this adorable little shark is the center of a lot of research, and I think it makes sense given that it is a easily accessible species that's pretty common in Europe. So we'll take a look at the small-spotted catshark in detail. There we go. Airdrop is deciding to work. Oh no more ads, no more ads. I'm sick of the ads. YouTube has just been dominated and devoured by ads. Okay. But I'm excited to dive into this little guy. So, you can see this is a Scyliorhinus kind of catshark. So this is the same genus as the chain catshark in the United States, which is one of my favorite species. Very cool aquarium species in North America. And I believe this one, Scyliorhinus canicula, is a very popular aquarium species in Europe. So, or aquariums around Europe as well. Aside from microplastics, this is also a really great species to study in terms of proteins, like kind of like microbiology, or like protein biology, and then also ecology, as far as like kind of seeing how populations of hold on, just got Howard's art. So seeing how populations of the shark kind of fare under human pressure. So, okay. So Howard, this is a new piece of art from Howard Care, so kind of hot off the press, but thank you so much for sending this over. This is actually a really cool piece on the small-spotted catshark, which I love how you captured the species hiding in the red algae that characterizes its rocky rocky tidal, like, coastal home. So a lot of temperate North Atlantic seas, have this like really cool rocky seabed with variety kinds of algae and kelps, including red algae. So it was really cool to capture the shark hiding in this kind of habitat, along with a hermit crab. Love that little detail. And honestly, Howard, you captured the head really, really well, and the pectoral fins, just their rounded shape, as well as the spotted pattern. This is spot on. Like, pun intended. Sorry about that. But like, yeah, I mean, it's like the pattern is really, really accurate. And I really love how you captured the head shape with this species. It has those really beautiful eyes with the nictitating membrane that helps protect the eyeball when feeding. And we have a really cool clip about that too on tonight's stream, so I'm very excited to share that. And really love like the soft rounded features for this particular shark. So I think both color pattern and physiology, like physically, you captured really, really well like the details of the small spotted catshark, Scyliorhinus canicula. So thank you so much for submitting this. And we've got also the common hermit crab, Pagarus. So fun fact, we have this genus in the Chesapeake Bay. I forget if it's the long-clawed hermit crab or the thin-stripe hermit. I think it's probably the thin-stripe hermit, but we do have this kind of hermit crab, not the species, but the genus in the bay. So really love that you include the scientific name, because this is a kind of hermit crab that I personally love snorkeling with, Pagarus hermit crabs. So very cool. Thank you so much for sharing this. So. Let me get back to the comments. So we have a lot of cool clips to review tonight for the small-spotted catshark. Oh, hey, Howard, good evening. I hope you saw I had your art, and Usually I kind of trim it, but I didn't have time when prepping for tonight. I just got your email, but I really do love this piece of art. So thank you so much for submitting. I think you captured just the color and the shape of the small spotted catshark really, really well. And I was geeking out about the crab as well. I was just mentioning that this is this genus of hermit crab, Pagurus, is one that I personally snorkel with quite a lot in the lower Chesapeake Bay. So it's a group of crabs that I really like. They're really cool to photograph underwater. So yeah, this is a really, really great piece of art. So thank you so much for sharing. I just think it's really cool. And you captured this guy really, really well. The color pattern varies on the species. You can see in this individual, it has a couple of like dark square bars on the sides, but some individuals have more of that kind of clean beige background with just the spots. So it depends from individual to individual, but it's a very pretty shark overall. So this one is from a channel called Nature Scott, so I'm just gonna like and subscribe. Really nice little clip. In square form, which is kind of an unusual format for YouTube, but I'll take it. It's pretty cool. I don't think I've ever seen a square YouTube video, so pretty unique signature there. Mm-hmm. But love this shark kind of cruising around the seabed in this really interesting seascape. I think it's hard to tell if these are tube worms, like. I think these are tube worms, which is so strange to see. They make these like really very, very large shapes, like these very large colonies underwater, so it's actually pretty cool. And the shark is just cruising, clearly interested in something in the area. I'm not sure if he's hunting or he seems very active. So, pretty cool clip of him. Just to take a look again at the first clip of the small spotted catshark. This one's from a channel called Eric de Groef. There's a lot of, and okay, this is from Norway and the British Isles. So this is somewhere in northern seas, which actually offer really good diving. So it's really cold. You probably more likely to not have to wear a dry suit. Which, if anyone doesn't know, a dry suit is a kind of scuba diving suit that you don't get wet at all. It completely blocks out water, but you have to have special training to use it because it is air inside the suit. You have to factor in a lot of compression, and there's a lot of dangers associated with that. So it's kind of more of an advanced suit, but it keeps you completely warm in like freezing environments. Also, this is an adorable shot of this adorable shark. So cold water diving in northern seas offers a lot of great wildlife viewing opportunities, especially for smaller sharks like this and spiny dogfish, also known as piked dogfish. A lot of great clips on YouTube of these like small sharks and diving opportunities with them. This is a really rare shot of mating between the small spotted catshark. So the male, just like in nearly every shark species, the male is biting onto the female. Female sharks are usually larger and have thicker skin than male sharks. So they can, it's part of an adaptation related to shark mating, where males will bite onto females in order to secure a position as they insert their claspers into the female's cloaca. So, and you can actually see, this is really good footage showing just shark mating in general, kind of showing how it works, like how that mechanism works. And it's kind of incredible, like the coordination. And actually, this is a really great shot. You can see the female's nictitating membrane, so it almost looks like an eyelid closing as the sharks are getting closer to this piece of piece of rock. So, but this is actually really great footage because this is probably a not so common event to capture, and it's kind of amazing to see. Just given how fluid and dynamic the underwater environment is, that animals are able to have internal fertilization like this. I mean, when you compare it to like land animals, it's just the underwater environment is just so much more difficult to do something like this. Because usually, like bony fish, for example, their fertilization is external. So females lay eggs and males release sperm in usually a secure location on the seabed. So this is really, when you think about sharks and like how they've evolved, that's pretty amazing as far as just legit, like the mechanics behind this is, it's like, this is very difficult to do. So, but really rare footage. This is from JD Scuba, so definitely want to like and subscribe. Yep. Got a lot of cool clips to review. Some of these are really great. This channel in particular, I really like, and I just want to shout out. This is British Sub Aqua Club, or BSAC. This YouTuber is extremely cool. She brings a lot of attention.
The small spotted.
Sorry about that. It was really loud. She brings a lot of attention to not just this cat shark, but to a lot of wildlife in northern seas, and I think that's really cool. So definitely recommend this channel. I think it's a hidden gem on YouTube. So, but it's BSAC, British Sub Aqua Club. I especially love it because the United Kingdom doesn't really or the British Isles, I should say. So United Kingdom, Ireland. Like it doesn't really get a lot of attention as far as scuba diving goes, and I feel like that scene is growing more and more, and as it should. I think there's more and more people understanding these are really clear waters in a temperate zone, and you get to see a lot of cool, like this spider crab. Sorry, that escaped me for a second. Spider crab. Lots of cool animals in this area. So. But great shots of the small-spotted catshark. That's a particularly beautiful shot. So like all cat sharks, this is an egg-laying shark. So they will lay their eggs on the seabed. The eggs have tendrils to help them hook on to kelp fronds or algae or any other kinds of, not marine plants because algae are their own thing, but just kind of marine objects that provide a safe anchorage for the eggs. Beautiful slow down footage of this gorgeous female small-spotted catshark. And you can see two different moves of movement where, that shot earlier was showing the shark swimming mid-water column, and then the shot we just saw was the shark just kind of laying on the seabed. And right now here, just laying on the seabed, just kind of chilling out. You can see how the color pattern really helps against the grains of the sand. So, you have these like very minute spots that from a distance really do blend in with just kind of like the alternating light and dark speckles on the seabed. So pretty cool camouflage. I also really like the bars and the individuals that that have them. Like it's kind of like this cool almost snake pattern, like this like these like square bars along the body, both on the dorsal and ventral side. So, and also, wouldn't it be fun to dive with the species? Just like dive or snorkel, just swim around in a kelp forest, just kind of with the species. It would be super cool. Like that's just like a dream. It's just so cool. Love the title of this video, The Day of the Dogfish, with Sea View Video. A nice close-up of this shark just kind of chilling on the seabed, doing buccal pumping. Small-spotted catshark. Hey, Sir Duckless. Welcome back. Wonder what the camouflage looks like to other... Actually, I know you didn't type the whole thing out, but that's a really good question. If you're indicating, I wonder what the camouflage looks like to other sharks or to other fish. That's a really other fish. Okay, gotcha. So that's a really great question because what's really cool is that fish see on different scales of light, and that's especially cool for environments like coral reefs, where patterns that don't really make a lot of sense, like the big colorful patterns, like that angelfish have, for example. They may not make a lot of sense to our eyes, but to other fish's eyes, they actually can be very good communicators, or they can be camouflage on different spectrums of light, which is extremely cool and actually very humbling because our perception is limited to just what, like how a human perceives light. We see the spectrums that we see, and we don't really see in, infrared or ultraviolet. We just see, visible color as far as human eyes are concerned. But when you think of other kinds of fish, or like other kinds of animals, including fish, they do see in a different spectrum. And so patterns that may not make a lot of sense to us make a lot more sense to those fish, which I think is extremely cool. And it just kind of shows that the world is enormous. It's not just humans, and it's not just the human perspective. The world as we understand it is only like a little slice of the actual entire world. And I just think that's extremely cool. It's almost kind of like this is not an appropriate analogy, but it's almost kind of like parallel universe thing. Like we pretty much do parallel universe already as far as humans go about their business, seeing the world in one way, but other creatures on this planet, they have a whole other sense of perception, and they're perceiving the same world in an entirely different way, which is really cool. So on that note, like the speckles make sense to my eyes because they blend into the seabed. The bars maybe not as much, and maybe the bars make more sense to a different fish's eyes or a different animal's eyes. So it's fun stuff to think about. It's kind of like that philosophical exercise where if a lion could learn English, like if a lion had the ability to speak English, it would still just say just nonsense, because a lion in a lion's day of life just cannot comprehend and is not it's just not wired to interpret symbols or interpret things the way that we interpret them. So just like if the same thing for us, if we were given the ability to communicate with lions, we would make no sense because our very existence just is completely removed from what a lion needs. Like our drives are not a lion's drives, and simultaneously a lion's drives are not our drives. So even if you give a lion the ability to speak English, it's still gonna just say nonsense because its whole instinct is not at all wired to the way humans are wired. So very cool stuff. I love this kind of philosophy. Thanks, Howard. Sorry about that. Sorry about the audio kind of cutting out. This is a really great clip, by the way. This is the one I really wanted to show you guys, by Fernando Trinidade. And it's a really cool shot of the nictitating membrane acting in a way that we haven't really seen before. So if you look at the shark's eyes, this is just a small-spotted catshark chilling on the seabed. But look how the nictitating membrane is coming up, almost kind of like eyelids, almost kind of like closing, and you could see that the shark is not near any food source. So we could only assume maybe the shark is doing that to kind of cover its eyes in light of the camera's light, and maybe it's using the nictitating membrane to actually shield its eyes from the intense light of the camera. So or the camera light. So that's my guess as far as what might be going on in that shot. But it's really cool because usually this membrane only closes if the shark is eating or if the shark is maybe bumping into something like we saw in the earlier clip. And it's really cool to see it operating outside of that conception where it's actually closing, maybe in reaction to light stimuli. So, but beautiful shot and really cool use of that feature. So, oh, Sir Douglas, I love that. Maybe if we met aliens, we could never understand. Yes, totally agree with that. And there's a great movie about that. I think it is Contact. It's a 90s movie with, is it Jodie Foster? I think the Silence of the Lambs actress, I think is Jodie Foster, but I think. And I think it's her in that movie, but it's like aliens come to Earth, and one of them manifests in the form of an old man so that he's approachable, and he explains to her, like, if we try to show you what we can do, you just can't comprehend it. And so we're just going to make this as simple as possible and boil everything down into this like tesseract or something, like this kind of like we are boiling everything down to the only way you can understand what we can do. And I'm not an old man. I'm a manifestation of what you find comfortable, but I'm just doing that because you guys cannot understand what we are. So I love stuff like that. I think it's really fascinating, and I find comfort in that. I think some people find it very scary, but I find it very comforting, where it's like, we are not as large as we think we are, and I personally really love that and find a lot of comfort in that. So this is a nice shot of a small spotted catshark just kind of chilling out on the seabed. Minimally interested in the cameraman, kind of lifting up, looking at what the cameraman is doing, but just actually conserving its energy, being very relaxed on the seafloor. Love that sinusoidal body, almost snake-like body, just kind of laying along the seafloor. It really does give you the impression of like a snake just kind of sunbathing, which is super cool. And I am curious if I'll read the video description to see how deep this is, because everything looks covered in sediment, and if I had to guess, I wonder if this is really far down. I could be totally wrong, but this looks just so cold and still that. But then again, there is a little hint in this video that I just missed. This is probably shallow water still because of these. These look like... These could be algae. So if it's algae, then this is probably shallow water because algae need sunlight. So let's see. There's a small spotted catshark resting in Loch Goyle, just off Clyde. Spotted approximately 20 meters. Okay, so 20 meters. So that's actually pretty shallow water as far as sharks are concerned. So it's about, what is that? 60 feet down. So deep for humans, but pretty shallow for sharks. I guess it's actually 66 feet down. So. But hope you guys all had a good weekend. I hope you guys... It's starting to feel like... we're getting into the fall-winter thing over here. Like, it's starting to get really cold at night, which I really love. My fiance does not love the cold, but I love the cold, so I'm very, very excited about that this time of year. And I could feel, like, just... I know the stores are starting to really get gung-ho about the holidays. I refuse to participate until it's December 1st. That's when it can begin. But I definitely feel the nice reset from spooky season. I always freak myself out during October, and I'm finally back to normal where I can watch movies again and just like not be scared and not be jumpy. I usually make myself jumpy by the end of October, but once we get to this point in November, things feel better and chill. So like this small spotted catshark just chilling out on the seabed. That's how I feel. This is actually how I feel. Just calm. Just like, all right, I'm here. So trying to see what else is in this shot. Those might be tunicates in the lower left corner, also known as sea squirts. Tunicates are really cool because they look like, a normal invertebrate, but in reality, they're actually very closely related to chordates. So, and I mean, they are chordates. So they're actually very closely related to animals with a backbone, because there's a certain stage of a tunicate's life where it actually is like this free-swimming, almost fish-looking thing, and then it settles onto the seafloor and becomes the tunicate, like the sea squirt. It becomes something that looks like a sponge, but it begins life as something that looks like a fish. It's a really fascinating group of animals, and it's eerie that of all the invertebrates, tunicates are the closest to us. I guess technically lancelets, because they don't really have vertebrae per se, but yeah, which is kind of eerie to think about, but yeah, good vibes for this catshark. I don't know if you can hear, I have lo-fi on in the background, which is always fun to listen to. This is a much more active small spotted catshark. exploring seaweed. And this individual looks a little bit younger. The spotting is a little bit different too. Much larger spots, and it still has like the bars, but this actually looks like a potentially younger individual. From Nicholas Berkey is the videographer. The features look a little bit more compressed too, so this might be a young of the year, or otherwise a juvenile small spotted cat shark. Just everything looks a little bit smaller and softer. Oh, Howard, I'm going to start this comment. This is so cool. We see it in nature. Life has existed on Earth for about 4.5 billion years, and we can only communicate meaningfully with our own kind despite all of our advancements. That is super cool. That is the quote of the night. Thank you so much for sharing that, because that's really cool, and I completely agree. And I find it just so fascinating. Just as far as like, you know, how species have become so biodiverse that each group, they can relate to each other, but they're removed enough where the other is a bit of a mystery in different ways, socially or behaviorally, or, I love that kind of philosophy. So that's super cool. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's a great quote. We have one more clip from Greenwater Studio of Small Spotted Catshark, and then we'll dive into what kind of makes this species tick. So this is an interesting dive setup, by the way. This scuba diver has 2 tanks, and he's carrying 2 behind him. It's pretty interesting. 30 meters, 12 degrees. I can only assume that's Celsius, but even so, that's very cold. And 30 meters is, you have to be an advanced diver to do this. But here is a small spotted cat shark cruising in the dark. One thing that's cool about diving in certain areas of the north, like the British Isles, is you can dive with small shark species, and you can avoid great whites. Great white sharks and other predatory sharks, they're not really up there, which is kind of interesting. Bull sharks, tiger sharks. I don't know about oceanic white tips. I feel like oceanic white tips can be found in the British Isles, but I could be wrong about that. But white sharks, for whatever reason, last time I checked, they're not up there. They're in the Mediterranean, and they're totally up in New England, but I don't think great whites have been seen in the British Isles. So it's kind of like a fun, safe place to dive and see these little sharks, without putting yourself at risk. I will double check that. I want to be absolutely sure that I have that right, but I'm pretty sure I have that right. Let's check that really quick. I'm going to check with, IUCN Red List. Great white. Yeah, I was right. Okay. Check it out. So this is great white shark distribution. And look at that. They are not in the United Kingdom. They're not even in Norway, Sweden, Finland. They're not here in the northern seas, which is interesting because you would think, at least with the United Kingdom, like the British Isles, you'd think there'd be seals and stuff. And the shark has that unique ability to raise its body temperature higher than its environment. So it's kind of fascinating that great white sharks are not here. I don't know what the reason is, especially since they are actually in Canada, and the water temperature, because of the Gulf Stream, is actually higher in the United Kingdom, or at least comparable to what it is in Canada. So I really don't know why white sharks aren't here. It's pretty interesting thing. Pretty interesting ecology for them, so don't know what the reason is. But anyway, small spotted cat shark, let's check out its conservation status, and it looks like it's least concern. So this is great. This is a small shark that is very popularly studied, that is actually doing well. Small spotted cat shark, let me reload the distribution map. There we go. Small spotted cat shark has a pretty large range. I didn't realize actually it was in northern Africa, so that's actually really cool. So southernmost range is in Senegal, You can find these in Morocco, Mediterranean, Greece, Italy, Turkey, Spain, France, the British Isles, Denmark, Norway. Northernmost range is in the Norwegian Sea, so pretty wide distribution. I'm glad to see that a shark that is in the Mediterranean is doing well, because Mediterranean, as far as the Atlantic is concerned, is probably the most perilous place for sharks. It's just there's a lot of fishing pressure in the Mediterranean region. But here we go. Let's check out what's going on with the small-spotted catshark. The small-spotted catshark, Scyliorhinus canicula, is a small catshark found in the northeast and east central Atlantic Ocean from Norway and the British Isles to Senegal and possibly Benin, and the Mediterranean Sea. It occurs on the continental shelf and upper slope from near shore to a depth of 800 meters. The small-spotted catshark is reported as incidental catch in demersal trawl, longline, and gillnet fisheries across its geographic and bathymetric range. It is now one of the most abundant elazabrinks across its range in the Northeast Atlantic and Mediterranean Sea. That's really interesting. It's very comforting to see the word abundant next to a shark. That's actually, especially a shark in the Atlantic, that's actually really great. In the eastern central Atlantic, sharks and rays have been exploited by semi-industrial fisheries since the 1950s. Off West Africa, there are a number of European distant water vessels using demersal trawl and longline to target demersal fish and shrimp species that operate in the deeper depth limits of the species. There is high distribution overlap with fishing pressure, increasing population trends in some parts of its range, and some relevant management in its northeast Atlantic range. There is no evidence of population decline. The species is not suspected to be close to reaching the population reduction threshold, and the small-spotted catshark is assessed as least concern. So that's actually pretty great. Even though it lives in an area with a lot of fishing pressure, it's actually doing okay. So that's a really uncommon thing. Oh, Howard, that's so cool. There's definitely seals in Scotland. I've seen them myself. Oh, that is so cool. If you don't mind me asking, when did you go to Scotland? And what part of Scotland did you visit? That is super cool. Scotland, and I know you know this because you've been with the stream for so long. Pretty much nearly every episode, and also thank you. But I think I've mentioned a couple times that basking sharks are very popular in Scotland. Basking sharks, Scotland has a really cool ecotourism industry with basking sharks, which I would love to do someday, where you could do snorkeling with basking sharks. I think you could do some diving with basking sharks as well. But Scotland is a basking shark hotspot, so that's super, super cool. The second largest shark in the world lives or has a hotspot in Scotland. So, small-spotted catshark, we're going to check out the Florida Museum of Natural History. It's a great rundown of, or great introduction to sharks. So let's see, it's a small nocturnal catshark. It eats mollusks and crustaceans. Grows to around 39 inches long. Very pretty species. Oh, common names, there's probably a lot. Looks like there is. So let's see. Whoa, there's actually a lot. Look at all this. English language common names are the small-spotted catshark, the dogfish, not really good. Fay dog, not really good. Dogfish are squall forms, so you want to avoid dogfish for this group, but oh well. Lesser spotted catshark, the lesser spotted dogfish, the rough dog, the rough hound, the sandy dogfish, the small spotted dog, and the small spotted catshark. Ooh, I could not pronounce this probably, but love Gaelic or Irish language, so Fiogat Biag? I don't know if that's correct, so sorry, I don't know if that's correct, but that's actually really cool. Really cool name. The Brecca in Spanish. Oh, I love this one. Cacchio Tiello in Italian. Or Cacchiuni in Italian. Oh, there's a lot of great Italian names for the species. Wow. Cacchio Toolo. Cacchio. Oh man, this one's tricky. Cacchio Toolo. Okay, I'm gonna stop. Cagnulu. The cat in Spanish. Kazuni in Italian. really cool to see how different languages kind of keep certain things. So you're definitely getting the cat, the root of cat. So, in a lot of these names, gata de Quarnero, gatangier, gatet, like you get cat or got in a lot of these languages, which is super cool. And, it's cool to see how, even though they're different languages, there's a lot of conservation between languages. You can see the language root a little bit, depending on the language. So, pez perro in Spanish, love that. Very cool. The small-spotted catshark is of only moderate commercial fisheries importance. However, it is utilized in public aquarium display tanks. Along the British Isles, this catshark is primarily taken by bottom trawls. Scuba divers are able to approach the small-spotted catshark, but depending on the situation, the shark may bolt when approached closer than about a meter. Scientists also use this common species as a lab rat in the study of various systems within the body, including hormones, blood, and organs. Interesting. So, I think you can say, I forget if that's called a model species or a model organism, but this would be a good replacement for dogfish, like true dogfish, like the pike dogfish. As far as sharks go, and I know I mentioned this before, pike dogfish were the big dissection shark for like high school biology. They used to be very popular and used to be the standard, at least in the United States, for shark anatomy. Fortunately, the United States has pivoted to sharp-nosed sharks, which are far more sustainable to fish. They grow so quickly or reproduce so quickly that Atlantic sharp-nosed sharks are doing okay. So that's where a lot of suppliers, like I think it's Carolina Biological Company, I think is the one in the United States that supplies a lot of like dissection animals. Or anatomy animals, but it used to be dogfish. Then they switched to the sharp-nosed shark, and it looks like this cat shark is maybe an equivalent for a lot of European areas. So, as long as the species is least concern, I do appreciate that. I do feel bad about like dissection. I don't really like it personally, and I wonder the efficiency of it. As far as I don't know if they've improved that. As far as like, do we really need so many sharks for a dissection lab that maybe some students are really interested in, but other students don't really appreciate? So, I don't know. It's an interesting conversation to have. Oh, Howard, I went in 1982 to Scotland, hiked the west coast, and hitched a ride to the east coast. I was 18. It was an amazing trip. That is so cool. I was gone for 2 months and visited many ancient historical sites, climbed a few Scottish mountains. That is so cool, Howard. That is awesome. Oh my gosh, thank you for sharing. That's so cool. I'd love like the adventure like that, kind of like just like I love like not sabbaticals, but like kind of like I love trips like that. That is so cool. Man, that is awesome. So thank you so much for sharing that. I don't think I've ever done an adventure that daring. I've done like different adventures here and there, but I don't think I've ever been away like that long. So that is super cool. Danger to humans. Small-spotted catshark, of course, is harmless. It's just completely safe to be with. I can only imagine like the teeth are also probably very small as well. So, let's see. It is common. Small-spotted catshark is common and widespread all on the coast of Britain and Ireland. There's also a possibility that it resides off the Côte d'Ivoire. Some populational differences exist between. Oh, interesting. This is weird. Catullus duhameli, a name for the Mediterranean canicula based on its similar size. Based on its smaller size. Is a species which may eventually be expressed as a subspecies. Very interesting. So, it looks like there is the large ranging species, and then potentially there's a smaller variant that lives in the Mediterranean. That would be and that would actually make sense too, because the Mediterranean is separated from the Atlantic by the Strait of Gibraltar, which is a very narrow body of water. So I wonder if that is a physical barrier, maybe. or not a barrier, but a physical deterrent from for intermixing between the larger Atlantic population of this shark and then Mediterranean individuals of this shark. So let's see. Habitat. Reside along continental shelves and uppermost slopes. Small spotted catshark is found over sandy, coralline, algal, gravel, and muddy bottoms at depths ranging from 10 to 400 meters. It is more commonly observed at depths to 110 meters. Juveniles are found in shallow water and often segregate by sex. The species is nocturnal, remaining motionless during the daytime hours and actively searching for prey at night. So a couple of the clips that we saw, they do look like they were filmed at night. It's pretty cool. This is a great photo. This has been in a lot of shark books. So this one's actually kind of famous, by Doug Perrine, who's a classic shark photographer. Let's see. There's a similar species, the greater spotted catshark, Scyliorhinus stellaris, which can be distinguished from the small spotted catshark by larger leopard-like spots. So our shark has small spots, but there's another shark that's similar to it that has larger spots that look like a leopard. It can also be distinguished by their nasal grooves, which are connected to the mouth in the small spotted catshark, but are unconnected in the greater spotted catshark. I may have removed it from the list, but there was an article that was comparing the different catsharks, like facial, I shouldn't say facial features, but like the nasal grooves and the mouth, like how they're arranged. So if I still have it open, I'll pull it up. But there have been really cool studies kind of comparing the morphology of cat sharks, where you could try to find the subtle differences between them. So. Interesting. The small spotted catshark also has 8 to 10 dark patches forming dusky saddles along the dorsum. However, these saddles may be obscure. So those are like the squares that may or may not appear on the shark. That's really cool. The denticles of his catshark are small, resulting in his skin that does not feel extremely rough when touched. Okay. Oh, the maximum reported weight of the species is just under 3 pounds, or around a kilogram, along the British Isles and the North Sea. So this is a very little guy. In the Mediterranean region, the species is smaller. Lives to a maximum age of at least 12 years. Sexual maturity can be around 3 to 8 years. I'm actually kind of curious about reproduction, how long it takes, because this is something that might be helping the shark overall. It might be quick to grow compared to other shark species. The small shark feeds on marine invertebrates, including mollusks, crustaceans, cephalopods, and polychaete worms. It also feeds on small bony fish such as gobies, pilchards, juvenile mullet, damselfish, and dabs, and occasionally larger fish such as gurnards or whiting. Reproduction. Mating occurs in deeper waters from the late summer through autumn, when females move back to shallower spawning grounds and deposit their eggs until the peak months of June and July. The small spotted catshark lays a single egg per oviduct at a time when embryos relying solely on the yolk for nutrition. Up to 18 to 20 egg cases may be released during each reproductive season. In captivity, the eggs took 5 to 6 months to hatch. That's actually pretty close, or pretty quick. With neonates measuring approximately 3.5 to 4 inches, or 9 to 10 centimeters in length. So cute little guys. Predators. Larger fish, including sharks, are potential predators, which makes sense. And I think that's it. I am kind of curious if they go into why it has the name canicula. And it doesn't show that, so for scientific names, but we'll keep looking. FishBase usually explains it, so checking FishBase. I almost said Facebook. Jesus, FishBase. Canicula, diminutive of canis or dog. Sharks were known as sea dogs or dogfish among mariners until the late 16th century because of their ferocious pack-like feeding behavior. So Scyliorhinus canicula So that's actually really cool. I never really made the connection, but that makes sense. Like canis, that actually makes total sense. Or canines, canids. So pretty cool. Um, let's see. I won't read all this, but this is a really great description of how you can tell this cat shark from other kinds of cat sharks. A lot of it seems to be the proportion of different features. Color pattern with dark spots well defined, predominantly smaller than spiracles. Okay. The biology. Most common cat shark in coastal waters of Europe. Okay. They sometimes occur in mid-water, which we saw in some of the clips that we've seen of the sharks swimming in the water column. Males resting on substrate and females hiding in shallow caves and crevices during the day. It's kind of cool that there's kind of a difference between what males and females do as far as their habits, like a behavioral difference. It's pretty interesting. Okay, this is also pretty interesting. So we know that the shark lays eggs. So the eggs are usually laid in shallow subtidal areas, although some egg cases have been found in the deeper part of intertidal zones. So that's actually really cool. If anybody has enjoyed tide pooling or enjoys tide pooling, that would be really cool if you went out far enough and you found like a shark egg. That's actually a lot of kids, myself included, like when I was a kid, just like would have loved that. That's super cool. That would have been the find. I don't know if anyone in the chat has been tide pooling, but I used to do that a lot in New England, specifically New Hampshire. I would say probably the best thing I found was a nudibranch, a red-gilled nudibranch, which is a really beautiful species. Actually, let me see if I can pull that up really quick. This is yeah, there we go. Really beautiful species. They're very small, but they're really, really pretty. They can be found in the Gulf of Maine. And I wonder if they're further north too, but nudibranchs are some of the best things to find because they live virtually in all parts of the ocean, and they adapt to their environments really well, where they take on characteristics of their environments and they look like their environments. In the Chesapeake Bay, there is a nudibranch that can photosynthesize. It's the emerald nudibranch. So it's actually this beautiful green. I've never seen it in the wild, but it's this beautiful green nudibranch that can actually photosynthesize to feed. So it's an animal that can actually photosynthesize light energy because it has chlorophyll inside it, which is it's a really cool animal. So nudibranchs are really fun for divers too because you can go to different parts of the world and they're almost kind of like taking a photo of one is almost like a souvenir of that part of the world. They're also super fun because they're hard to find. They're very small. It's kind of like an Easter egg hunt a little bit. So, but this is the best thing I've ever seen, tide pooling. I would say lobsters too. I loved finding lobsters in tide pools. It's very uncommon, but it was a lot of fun to do. If you're really lucky, gunnels or flounders, like flounders and then like gunnels, which when I was little we used to mistake for eels, but they're actually a different kind of fish. But tide pooling is super fun. I would have freaked out if I saw a shark egg. I don't think there's any kind of shark that in the North Atlantic that lays eggs, or in the Northwest Atlantic that lays eggs in shallow enough water. So I would love this. I always want to live by the ocean. Honestly, just there's something about it that just calls. I mean, it's just beautiful. And like I really love just kind of like, even if you can get away with like just like a vacation or just kind of like, just like a couple days, a weekend, a week, it's just there's something really special and magical about it. So I absolutely agree. Like just there's nothing like the sea. So it's just yeah. So but Yeah, like, do you have if you don't mind me asking, do you have a particular favorite spot, like vacation spot or like place to visit? Because I know you're more in like central Canada, but yeah, if you have any like fun places or places you recommend as far as like kind of like marine areas, please feel free to share with the chat. Like for me, I spend most of my time. I would like as far as like ocean stuff, I would say I spend most of my time kind of on the eastern shore of Virginia, kind of in the Hampton Roads area. There are some areas where you can go snorkeling. It's very unusual and uncommon to do that, but but there are places you can go. Um, my family goes to North Carolina, like the Crystal Coast, which is a lot of fun, or the Outer Banks. And then again, like when I was younger, we used to spend a lot of time in New England, which love New England. So, but yeah, what's cool is like anywhere in the ocean. And I actually one thing that's really cool is that no matter where you are, whether you're close to the coast or not, you know, you're always connected. I guess unless you're in like a desert. But if you have water, usually your watershed is connected, directly to the sea, and it's kind of cool to see that pipeline and that transition, especially if you're in an area that gets like anadromous or catadromous fish, so fish that go up river or down river and spend part of their life cycle in the ocean. So anywhere that has like herrings, trout, salmon, eels, American eels especially, sturgeon. There's lots of animals that actually do that great migration upriver, and just kind of show you like we're all connected to the sea in some way. It's like Finding Nemo, like all drains lead to the ocean. It's one of my favorite lines from that movie. Yeah. Oh, cool. Venice Beach or St. Augustine, Florida. That's so cool. I was in Bradenton and Sarasota, Florida. I think I did go to the Venice Book Festival, but I didn't do Venice Beach fossil hunting, and I should have done that because Venice Beach is a famous shark tooth place. So I really should have done that actually. So that is so cool. Want to visit Chesapeake Bay? Oh, please do. It's super cool. Like the state parks here, and especially in Virginia, like the state parks in Virginia, I think are really phenomenal. In the Chesapeake Bay area, like Kipta State Park is one of my personal favorites. But York River State Park, Chippewa State Park, Machicomico State Park. There's a lot of really good ones. Actually, I'm gonna write a list of really great state parks that I highly recommend. So, British Columbia, I've heard is gorgeous. I have visited Washington State before. It's breathtaking, beautiful place. But I can't imagine what British Columbia is like, especially the orcas. That's super cool. So. I'm going to type in Virginia State Parks on the Chesapeake Bay. Kipta Peak. Go to Shark Frenzy in Venice. Oh, I got to check that out. Kipta Peak. First landing. I'm going to say crowded. Chipokes. York River. Machicomico, and Belle Isle. Okay. So my definition of Chesapeake, I'm pushing a little bit because some of these parks are technically on rivers, but ecologically, I mean, they feed right into the bay. They do have a lot of bay wildlife. But here are Virginia state parks. If you ever visit the Chesapeake Bay area, the Virginia side, you're closer to marine life on the Virginia side of the bay. So these are some of my recommendations. Kipta Peak is by far my favorite. I pretty much see something new every single time I go to Kipta Peak. I've seen like remoras, dolphins, pufferfish, rays. I always see rays all the time. So Kipta Peak is super cool. Highly recommend it. First Landing is ecologically extremely cool. It's in Virginia Beach, so it's extremely crowded. It's like I love the nature of First Landing, and it's a great place to camp, but it's really crowded. So if you want to get away from people, and that's kind of I like to get away from people whenever I do like hiking or camping. That's the one thing about that park that I'm not a big fan of, but the nature is amazing. It's actually one of the few places you can see cottonmouths, and it's like this really cool bald cypress swamp habitat. So, what else we got? Chip Oaks, beautiful park. Great shark fossils too. I've pulled prehistoric giant white shark teeth from Chip Oaks State Park. Virginia always talks about Westmoreland as like the big shark spot, but really, for real, the actual park you can get shark teeth is Chip Oaks. Like that is the actual park you can get some great shark teeth. So you've heard it here from the Dr. Jaws channel. It's go to Chip Oaks for shark teeth. So York River is a really pretty park. I've got nothing really bad to say about it. Honestly, it's really nice. A lot of cool wildlife too. I've seen butterfish there, which is I was really surprised to find that there actually. So, but really nice park. Magic Komoko is brand new, and oh, hey, the Maryland Marine is that in St. Michael's? Is that the Maritime Museum? Because I've been there. That's actually really cool. If you visited that, that's a nice area. Like the St. Michael's area is really nice. Magic Komoko is a new park that is growing, but it's a cool one. And then finally, Belle Isle is gorgeous. I love Belle Isle. It's very quiet. Probably like the water is really murky, but Belle Isle is a beautiful location if you want to get away and you just feel like you're completely one with nature. That place is amazing. I love Belle Isle. So, but sorry for that tangent, by the way. I mean, I love the tangents on our stream, but oops. And I love. I mean, like Virginia is known mostly for like history and stuff. It's not really known for ecology, and it should be. It's a really gorgeous state actually. So I like having the opportunity to talk about some of Virginia's natural beauty. So come visit. It's a great place. Virginia's for lovers. Paid for by the Virginia Tourism Commission. Not really. I just love the state. It's my home state. Anyway, Smallspotted Catshark. This is a really great photo of juveniles, like little, potentially newly hatched, because you can see just the features are much softer, and this is definitely a little guy. Proportionally, the eyes are really huge in relation to the head, and also you can really see the definition of the dermal denticles. So that indicates this is a pretty small individual. If you're able to see the denticles so clearly, so. But cute little guy, and it's cool to see how this one grows up into this one. This is a much more robust looking individual, still retaining the large eyes, but you can kind of see that this adult shark has a little bit more girth on him or her, and has a bit of a darker color pattern, and the sphere you can't really see the dermal denticles as sharply as you can here. So. Here is an egg case that is looks like it's washed up. Very similar to the chain cat shark, but it looks like the tendrils are quite a bit longer. It's another egg case, also known as a mermaid's purse. And we don't need to see washed up individuals too much. I really do like seeing these photos of the shark in life. So that's a gorgeous shot of small-spotted catshark laying on the seabed. Species information sheet from Helcom Red List. So I think this is locally focused on Baltic sea sharks, so I do want to check this out really quick. See if there's anything new. Saying it's least concerned. Saying it lives here. Oh, good observation, Howard. The dark banding is more apparent in the more developed specimen. Yep. Good observation. Oh, here we go. This is an egg-laying shark, so oviparous is egg-laying with a single egg-laid per oviduct at a time, spawning in November to July, and attaches its egg cases to algae and seagrasses. Okay. Okay, so not too much different from IUCN Red List. More photos with a cool like hexagonal distribution map. I think we'll check out, last but not least, Andy Merck, who has dive notes on the species before we look at some of the research, because the research is pretty interesting. Like the studies that this shark is the center of actually are pretty fascinating to read. So, but great photo by Andy Merck of a small spotted cat shark just chilling out on a rock in the seabed. I'm very curious to see the dive notes. So here we go. Reaction to divers. Easily approach when found resting on the seafloor. Will bolt if approached too quickly or aggressively. Diving logistics. Quite common around the UK, especially on the south and west coasts. I've seen the species at virtually every dive site in Wales and Cornwall, so it should not be hard to track down when diving in shallow kelp forest. As one of many examples, the Isle of Scomer is a beautiful dive spot off the western tip of Wales. Well worth a summer trip for cat sharks, diving puffins, and a generally excellent diving. Another good spot is the tiny town of Porthcurris on the south coast of Cornwall. Best known for basking sharks in early summer. Oh, that's so cool. It is also a nice kelpie shore dive. Love that word, kelpie. It also has a nice kelpie shore dive where you're almost certain to bump into a small spotted cat shark or two. So that sounds like heaven. That is so cool. So, okay, I have to remember this personally. Porthcurris in Cornwall. Super, super cool. Behavior. Adults often form large single-sex aggregations. This is just a lovely cat shark. Just very chill. I like the vibe of the species. Deeper habitats, egg cases deposited on sessile invertebrates, including sponges, hydroids, soft corals, and bryozoans. It's actually pretty interesting. Just want to peruse some of Andy's photos. Really great shots. I love that note that you can approach this species pretty easily. This is a great shot where the shark seems to be very comfortable with the photographer. As is this one. It's cool to see the eyes do have like the cat pupil, if you will, but it's a little bit horizontal. It's not like the vertical cat pupil. Really nice shot. I love this layout. The shark laying out on the seabed. Mixes a beautiful piece of kelp. It's super cool. So an individual just taking a look at the photographer. It's really fun. His head, or her head, kind of perched above the seabed. And then great shot of an egg case. This is definitely a lot lighter in color and a lot more slender than the Scyliorhinus radifer, the chain cat shark. This is a little bit different looking as far as the egg case goes, which is to be expected from a different species. Love seeing small spotted cat shark curling up. It almost makes you think of a shy shark. Shy sharks are a kind of cat shark that will do this, and they'll actually hide their eyes with their caudal fins, so they'll use their caudal fins to cover their eyes, which is adorable. That's a great shot of the shark with the nictitae membrane closing its eye. That's so cool. That's a brilliant shot. Yeah, Andy Merck is probably my favorite shark photographer. Although there's a lot of greats. So him, Doug Perrine, Nick Kalianis. There's a lot of really great shark photographers in the world, but Andy Merck might be my favorite. So. Oh, cool. I enjoy the species where we have abundant live footage to base drawings on. Yes, yep. That it's really cool to kind of have that material because I know there's a lot of sharks, and I feel like this year especially we've covered a lot of really rare sharks that unfortunately really don't have that material available. So it kind of makes it difficult to make a really accurate artistic interpretation. So I agree. It's really nice to have species where there's just so much behind them. So, and thank you. Sorry about the audio. Still don't know what's going. I think it's a bandwidth thing whenever it cuts in and out. So, but all right. It's around 10 o'clock, so we will take a look at some of the studies on this species, and it's quite a lot. I wonder if we should work somewhat backwards, because this is the one that I really wanted to check out, just because this is such a really important topic, is plastic and microplastics in the ocean. So this shark, I was really surprised to see how many plastic studies it was involved in, and there's quite a few that we should take a look at, so we'll dive in. So this one's called Plastic Webs, the New Food, Dynamics of Microplastics in a Mediterranean Food Web, Key Species as Pollution Sources and Receptors. This is by Ruben Olmo Gilabert, Valentina Fagiano, Carme Alomar, Beatriz Rios Fuster, Montserrat Compa, and Salud Diodero. Okay, this is interesting. Geographical abstract. So highlights new approach success in combining network analysis and innovative pollution indices. Sources of microplastics play key topological roles while receptors did not. Introducing plastic food webs and interaction pollution indices, IPI concepts. Oh, that's interesting and really scary. Important plastic pollution sources are integral to the human diet. And then IPIs offer significant potential for bioaccumulation and biomagnification studies. So this is going to be really interesting. And then just as a graphical representation, we've got microplastic pollution in species. So just as a refresher, microplastics are when plastic is in the marine environment, it will break down, like say like a rubber ducky. It will break down in microscopic pieces, and like microscopic, like almost indestructible rubber ducky pieces are floating in the ocean and absorbed by different kinds of animals. Specifically, say, like an oyster is a good example. An oyster is a filter feeder, so it's filtering a lot of crap while collecting its food, and it'll have that like little microplastic piece, like the rubber ducky piece, inside it. And then if oysters are eaten by, what's a good oyster eater? Like, I guess like smooth hounds, eating oysters, or like countless rays eating oysters. Countless rays is a good example. You have animals like eating these filter feeding animals. They will, and they keep eating filter feeding animals. They're getting their nutrients, but they're also collecting all these like little pieces of microplastic. So when you go higher in the food chain, you start to bioaccumulate, all these plastics to a very dangerous degree. And they kind of show this in here, so you can kind of see you have crabs, fish, larger fish than that, larger fish. You can see that the risks, like I think this is indicating lethal levels of plastic. And so lower in the food chain, not your risk of getting lethal plastic injection, very low. But higher in the food chain, especially for like tuna and swordfish, it's very high. So microplastic pollution in species, MP's frequency of occurrence, times food web feeding preferences equals plastic food web pollution by diet. So this is going to be really interesting to read. And this might carry us all the way through the end of the night. We'll see what happens. So here we go. Abstract. In the context of global environmental change, this study presents a novel approach to evaluating microplastic, MP, fluxes, and probabilities of pollution within marine food webs. A topological model was built to understand the dynamics of microplastic pollution in the Mediterranean food webs. The analysis involves two approaches. The first approach includes centrality measures to understand the key role of species in the transmission of trophic effects regarding microplastics. And the second approach incorporates microplastic data by developing the interaction pollution indices, IPIs, at multiple levels to identify species, being sources and receptors of microplastic pollution, and a new concept of a plastic food web. The trophic network consisted of 356 nodes, representing not only species but also aggregations in higher taxa, for a total of 3,517 interactions, with 108 species having information on microplastic frequency of occurrence, FO. The mean probability of dietary microplastic transference was 0.087%, and the maximum was 18%. Species such as the rose shrimp, the cat shark, so this is the small spotted cat shark, the sole, which is kind of flounder, the sardine, the Norway lobster, and the forkbeard, I'm not sure what a forkbeard is, were found to be significant sources of pollution and play crucial roles in transmission of effects within the network. So that's actually extremely sad. So even though the small spotted cat shark is doing well, it is also accumulating a lot of microplastics in the environment. By incorporating the IPIs, a deeper understanding of pollution dynamics at multiple levels was gained, highlighting the value of combining feeding and microplastic pollution data to develop effective management and conservation strategies. The application of IPIs holds immense potential for studying bioaccumulation and biomagnification through microplastic pollutant transferences in marine ecosystems. Its flexibility in incorporating different types of information and units enables its transversal application throughout the field of ecology. This research provides a crucial step towards developing effective tools for microplastic pollution mitigation strategies and the preservation of marine ecosystems integrity. So, yeah, this is pretty wild. I will skim through this. We won't spend too much time on this. I'll just kind of shout out things that kind of catch my eye. Howard, yes, it's also nice to know what they eat helps to recreate the environment. Yes, absolutely agree. Let's see. It's kind of funny. I'm definitely in study party vibe. I don't know if you can hear the lo-fi in the background, but it definitely feels like a Monday night study night. I know Min just mentioned on the top of the stream that she was working on a paper. I really appreciate that we have viewers who may be in college or maybe, I don't know if we have high school viewers. I think we have college viewers, but it's fun. I appreciate you guys having this on as you do your work. You know, I really loved, like, when I was an undergraduate, just kind of like, you know, having stuff on in the background while studying, or, you know, just kind of writing something or reading something, depending on the thing. It could be very helpful. So, and then also to you know, viewers who, you know, may not be in the school setting, it's extremely cool that you're on the stream. As far as, like, you know, I feel like a lot of people who enjoy podcasts, and myself included, as an adult, it's kind of like lifelong learning, and I really like that vibe. I think it's really cool, and it's a lot better than just kind of like, you know, we have like a lot of in popular television, just kind of like, and popular internet stuff, just kind of like a lot of not nourishing content, like a lot of junk and stuff. So I really appreciate you guys being here, just learning about sharks and, you know, devoting time to learn something new, and also just kind of share shark time. You know, I think that's really cool. So, I also love food webs. There was a really good Gulf of Maine one that I have to find at some point, but they assign scores to different animals, and I kind of, a goofy way of looking at it is like power levels to different animals, but it was representing their trophic rank, like their probability of being higher on the food chain. So, okay, some studies on microplastics highlight the inflammatory lesions produced by the interaction between tissues with the plastic surfaces. Microplastic surfaces absorb contaminants and promote the attachment of bacterial pathogens, changing intestinal microbiota, and produce toxicity to the immune cells. So I usually try to avoid seafood, but this is a great argument to continue doing that. This is really freaky, actually. The combination toxicity and ubiquity of microplastics increase the risk of developing cancer, among other affections. Additionally, impacts of associated contaminants must also be considered, as microplastics absorb a wide range of contaminants that become bioavailable for different tissues after ingestion, with potential toxic impacts at molecular and cellular level. Yeah, so this is a really cool study, but I think the majority of the introduction is kind of reiterating what we do know, which is plastics have been introduced in the environment, and then animals at the base of the food chain ingest those, and then they pass them up the food chain as they get preyed upon by other animals. So we kind of know that. Let's see what else we've got. Sorry about that. The plastic food web. Okay, so the following specific objectives were addressed: to describe the trophic key structural roles of marine species in Mediterranean food webs, and to develop interaction pollution indices building on a new concept, the plastic food web, or PFW. This present work introduces the plastic food web, moving beyond traditional predator-prey dynamics to focus on MP pollution interactions. Okay, so we'll kind of move forward. I really hope they do have a breakdown. Okay, interesting. Here we go. Infographic representing workflow prior to the present study from bottom to up. 1, at the bottom, the data collection, so microplastic data set. 2, in the middle, the construction of the food web and the topological models. 3, the top analysis, color serves to clarify the related information about microplastics, blue, and the trophic relationships, exclusively orange. So, let's see. Microplastic pollution species list, praise of the microplastic list, praise of the microplastic list's praise. I love that little description. Praise of predators. This is such a convoluted breakdown, but I think I get it overall. So they're going to construct a food web out of this. This is just an example. So feeding preferences, so it's showing that, for example, crabs eat seagrass, and little copepods, shrimp eat little copepods, drum eat crabs and shrimp, and then something like I'm assuming it's like a bass, bass eat drums. So pollution of food resource, so you're seeing the feeding preferences, but you're also seeing the risk of pollution by diet, and then finally the plastic food web. So, interesting. So I hope they have a detailed graph. Oh. Okay, this is kind of more like the methods. I really hope they do a cool graph of the Mediterranean. And like you said earlier, Howard, I think it's going to be really cool to see the relationship between different species. So. Oh, thank you. I just saw this comment. Sorry. Yours is the only podcast I follow because I love the concept of focusing on one species at a time to deepen my knowledge of extant sharks. Oh, that is so cool. Thank you, Howard. That made my night. Thank you so much. It's also good to know that scientists are focusing on more abundant species to conduct research on. Yes, that is absolutely agree. Absolutely agree that they're focusing on a shark that can take kind of that pressure, as opposed to like a rare species. So, but that's super cool. Thank you for that comment. I really appreciate that a lot. Thank you so much for that. Sincerely, just you know, like I honestly, it's been a really cool endeavor covering each species. We're at almost 100, which is amazing to think about. And I love doing this in itself, but I really could not have gone this far without you guys, as far as like your encouragement and just kind of sharing the space with you guys. It's super cool. So thank you guys for being here. Like it's a community that we've built together. So and just like the vibe of this channel, I mean, that's everybody contributes to that. So and you included, Howard. So especially if you're art, man, I really really appreciate your art so much. It's super super cool. So, but thank you guys for being here. I really really appreciate just this is something we've all made together. It's not just me. It's something we've all made together. So, this is a breakdown of the different groups producing. I guess they're showing kind of like the microplastic indices, and some of them are larger groups, which makes sense. For example, octopod. So like octopuses, it doesn't really do to isolate one group or one species. I got kind of distracted because here's Scyliorhinus canicula, so this is the cat shark, but here's S. dumerili, which that almost looks like Squatina dumeral, which is the sand devil, but this eye is throwing me off, and sand devils don't live in the Mediterranean, so this might be a different kind of animal. That caught my eye for a second. I was like, wait a minute, sand devils don't live in this part of the world. Sand devil is also known as the Atlantic angel shark. It doesn't live here, but... Okay. This is more methods, so we're just going to kind of keep going. Oh! I forget. This is a dumb fish joke. This is... I forget what kind of fish this is, but it's a species called boops. 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 Boops is a fish. I forget what kind of fish it is, but I remember that being a joke. Like in the marine lab. Just like... and honestly, scientists have funny names for things. Oh, Squalacanthius? Acanthius? Oh, actually, there's a lot of sharks here. Sorry, so Squalacanthius is the pike dogfish. Hemopterus spinax is a lantern shark. Who else is here? Because those jumped out at me. Delatius licca is a kitefin shark. Scyliorhinus canicula. So there's sharks in here, but they're mixed with other things. So it's kind of hard to. Oh, Squatina. So there is an angel shark here. Wow, there's a lot of sharks in this study, which makes sense. A huge part of the ecosystem, but it's kind of wild to see them jump out like that. Okay. Okay, scatter plots for the distribution of relative global species interaction polluted index. For sources and receptors, bottom. Okay. Microplastic. Okay, so this is pretty interesting. It took me a while to figure this out. So this chart in particular is interesting. Microplastic frequency of occurrence. If it's blue, then you're less likely to find microplastics. But if you're getting closer to orange, you're more likely to find them. And unfortunately, it looks like the cat shark, so small-spotted catshark, is actually pretty likely to get microplastics. So that's really unfortunate. Wow, so this is the food web. which is enormous. Wow. Okay. Okay, I'll zoom in on this in a second, but this figure presents 4 graphs on the plastic food web, highlighting key aspects. In the upper section, prey functions as microplastic sources are emphasized through node size depicted as circles, while in the lower section, receptor functions are similarly highlighted. On the left side, functions are cumulative, SIPI index, encompassing the probabilities of contamination in... Okay, so the probabilities of contamination in or being contaminated out. Okay, so the nodes in this first graph on the top left corner, graph A, is probabilities of contamination in, and then the graph in C is the probabilities of being contaminated. So it's like graph A is showing what animals are already contaminated, and then graph C is showing what animals are going to be contaminated. On the right side, functions are revitalized to links and encompassing probabilities of averaged SIPI values. B is the probabilities of contamination in or being contaminated by. Okay, so the top row is things that are already contaminated. The bottom row is what things that are most likely to be contaminated. Okay, so I'm very curious in the top graph. So let's see what is most highly contaminated. And this is going to be a little tricky to break down just because there's a lot of animals here that it's hard to kind of immediately get them. But I can probably just like pull them on my phone really quick. So for example, well there's, let's see. Let's try, oh, okay, so Scrombus is a tuna. I don't even know where to begin. I'm trying to find, oh, there's the angel shark, squatina down here. There's a kitefin shark down here. But these aren't really a big deal in the Mediterranean, apparently. I'm trying to find our cat shark, S. canicula. And the cat shark is... Oh, there's the lantern shark, Homoptera spinax. It's not really a big deal. You can't tell. It is very likely to be contaminated. It's an orange dot, so it's a second quartile, but it's not a big part of the total food web. The animals that contribute the most to the food web are the ones with the largest circles. So let's look at, on the top left corner, you do see boops. So let's pull that up really quick, because I actually forget what kind of fish that is, personally. Boops. The bogue. It's a kind of sea bream. Okay. So kind of looks like a mid-level fish. Okay. Pilchardus, S. pilchardus. Let's see what kind of fish that is, because that's also very contaminated. So it's a European pilchard. So the pilchard and the bogue are both really contaminated. So highly contaminated food fish. Let's see what this is. I don't know if I can tell. A. Antenatus. It's a really fascinating chart. It's a frogfish. Oh no, sorry. No. It's a prawn. Sorry, it's a prawn. Which makes sense, because they have this one kind of near the seabed. So this is a prawn, which is highly contaminated, and you can see that this goes into a lot of different kind of food items. S. solia, I'm assuming this is also a flounder, or like a sole is a kind of flounder. This is very interesting. So And you can see these links are color coded too. So green is the least contaminated, and then red is the most contaminated. So when you get higher and higher in the food chain and get into shallower and shallower water, this is actually really fascinating. Is this plotting against shallow water? Let's see. Because this makes sense. This is an amazing graph. I know it's hard to decipher, but it's a really amazing chart where, animals that are close to shore, and that makes sense. Boops, the bogue is a shallow water fish. That actually makes sense that that's plotted closer to shore. Closer to shore and closer to the surface, you're more likely to be a contaminated kind of fish. But when you go into deeper water, it's less likely. So also, based on that habitat, our shark should be somewhere around here, because it's kind of like a slightly deeper water shark. I'm trying to find Scyliorhinus canicula. Where are you? There it is. Okay, so Scyliorhinus canicula is right here, and it is unfortunately red, so it's a top level of contamination. So that's a real shame. So it's kind of like at this point in the food web, it's not as much of a contributor as like the pilchard, but it is still a very highly contaminated animal. So that's really sad. If you look at this chart, you can see there's a lot of different kinds of animals that contribute or are the most likely to be contaminated. This one's already contaminated. The conger eel, a sea conger, I believe is a conger eel, is the next most likely to be contaminated. If I'm reading that correctly. So let's compare with this chart up here, which is fairly similar. And there's the cat shark again, Scyliorhinus canicula, very likely to be contaminated in this food web. So that's wild, and that's really, really sad. I'm very curious to read the discussion. Oh, well, there it is. Because I do want to read what is going on as far as human health goes. Okay. The Mediterranean Sea is a leucotrophic environment with a complex and strong link between pelagic and benthic compartments in terms of microplastic pathways. Let's see. Two key species from the deep Mediterranean Sea, the lobster and the shrimp, play crucial roles as vectors of microplastics, especially that prawn, which emerged as a significant potential source of microplastics. Wow. Contaminating the kitefin shark, Delatius leuca. These species, the kitefin shark, are two abyssal top predators, and ranked as principal microplastic receptors. The kitefin shark has been considered a rare endangered species, occupying one of the highest trophic niches in the environment. Both species are specialist feeders, exerting a crucial role in the top-down regulation of the deep sea trophic web. And alongside the kitefin shark, another shark also appeared to be an important receptor, S. stellaris. I'm assuming it's Scyliorhinus stellaris, both of which are listed as vulnerable by the IUCN. Other species which with key roles in the food web, which in turn function as potential sources of microplastics included, were the small-spotted catshark, Scyliorhinus canicula. It is reassuring to ascertain that microplastic receptors do not assume pivotal roles in a trophic network. Both findings yield a positive outcome in our analysis. However, some findings are worrisome rather than expected. An important aspect is that all these potential microplastic sources are integrated into the human diet, some of them with a substantial contribution, meaning it poses a real risk to human health. Ooh, for example, the importance of the prong and the lobster in our diet and their roles within the plastic food web raise awareness about polluting potential the polluting potential of the deep sea, an environment that remains largely unexplored. Both species have been previously proposed as bioindicators and flagship species for plastic contamination in the deep sea. Yeah, I'm gonna put this study in the chat because this is a really good one. And this is a pretty. Wait, what do I do? Command copy. Hey, Bruce, welcome back. Why can't I put this in the chat? Hold on. Copy. Oop. Edit. Paste. Oh, interesting. It's not letting me do this, which is strange. Okay. Very odd. I'll get to the title back, but hope you're doing well, Bruce. Yes, let's see. Simple bioaccumulation, I mean, a lighter note, still better than lead. The last generation of wildlife had to deal with. Yes. Let's see. Oh, that's awesome! You got a new dog. Oh, that's so cool. German Shepherd. That is so cool. What's the puppy's name? That is super cool. Let's see. Conclusion for. Let me try this one more time. I don't know why. I usually am able to put links in the chat. That is so weird. Okay, well, I will share this later. That's very weird. I used to be able to do that very easily, so... Huh. Let's see. Conclusion. By shifting the perspective from an exclusive focus on ecotoxicology to a broader context of complexity within the realm of global environmental change, this study enhances the understanding of microplastic pollution dynamics. Its limitations on the data. Yeah, it's just kind of summing up everything. Yeah, just kind of summing up everything. So, oh wow! Whoa! Wait a minute! I have never seen this before in a scientific paper. Wow! Hold on. Declaration of generative AI and AI-assisted technologies in the writing process. That is brand new. No. During the preparation of this manuscript, the author employed OpenAI's ChatGPT for assistance. This includes support in drafting sections of the manuscript, refining the academic language. After using this tool/service, the author reviewed and edited the content as needed and takes full responsibility of the content of the publication. I've never seen that before. Ooh. First paper. This one's from 2024. First paper that says something about AI. Fascinating. Never ever seen that before. Ma'am. Well, overall, very important study. So let me go up to the top just to kind of share what this is. This is available on sharkreferences.com. This was Plastic Webs, the new food dynamics of microplastics in the Mediterranean food web, key species as pollution sources and receptors. Can I copy and paste this? Oh, Maya! That's awesome. And there we go. I can copy and paste this. Interesting. So this is the title. Maya's a great name. That's a really great name for a puppy. I can paste the title of this article, but I can't paste the link. It's really weird. But if you Google that, you should be able to get that on sharkreferences.com. So this is publicly available and a really good study. So for future reading, AI is the beginning of the end. Yeah, it's I don't know if you guys remember, I was super freaked out about it last spring. So not this year, but May of 2023, I attended a conference at William and Mary, or not a conference. I'm sorry. There was a really interesting session at the College of William and Mary talking about the powers of AI and what to expect from it, and it was interesting. It was simultaneously disturbing and comforting. Disturbing in the sense that I think they were talking about it currently is not threatening quite yet as far as jobs and stuff, but it may be someday. Encouraging, though, in the sense that there is real use in AI processing enormous data sets that humans can't do. And in particular, they did point out a really good example where they're doing shoreline erosion studies in Virginia and trying to make sure the trying to analyze thousands and thousands of photographs over multiple years demonstrating shoreline erosion and trying to identify beaches that have a specific pattern to identify areas of highest priority as far as investing resources to kind of mitigate the erosion on those beaches. And a human being could do that, but it does take forever to do. And it's also you think about how much time and money and effort that is poured into that, and can you get your study done in a meaningful amount of time? And we're talking about a study that may have really important implications for climate change. So they did make a good point that AI can crunch through data like that very quickly and help deliver results in a fast enough time where you can start influencing maybe potential policy decisions. So that I am encouraged about. But yes, Bruce, my only real issue is the energy demands. I am optimistic they are building nuclear power to support data centers, so that's helping people go green. So that is good, yeah. And I'm cautiously I'm not as scared of it as I was, but I'm definitely not excited for it. I think there's a lot of power in just kind of not overly, and I think the best example in everyday life is ChatGPT, where I think there's a lot of power in kind of learning language yourself, writing yourself, going through understanding the command of English or whatever language you speak yourself. I worry about kids relying too much on ChatGPT or something to write a prompt and to do stuff like that. Because you can do that and get an easy grade and everything, but you're not learning and you're not really developing a skill and a mastery of something that is kind of a very important tradition and also very useful. Because say the power goes out, what are you going to do? How are you going to do your assignment and everything? I don't know. I'm kind of having Monday thoughts, but just I very much am as far as you can reasonably do something yourself, I think it's important to do it yourself. But, not everything, of course. I mean, I cannot perform surgery on myself. That's a horrific idea. So in instances like that, I will happily take an AI's advice on if I ever have a really, serious, need or injury or something like that. But, if there's something that I can take care of myself that is well within my purview, I vote that as opposed to rely on an AI. And more importantly, I'm nervous about job displacement as far as roles that may be impacted by AI. So, and that's actually happened already. When you think of self-checkout, at a grocery store. I mean, that's not, I know that's not AI, but that is, machines taking jobs, so. Howard, it will allow the control of information to the point you would not be able to tell human as opposed to AI-generated feeds. Bruce, I would disagree. I put myself through college by finding the hard questions in textbook, generating quiz upon quick and practice until I could break a problem with ease. That's really cool. That's really, really cool, actually. So, Howard made a good point as well as far as not being able to tell the difference between a human and AI, as far as language goes, or as far as say you're on a phone call with somebody or a telemarketer, or God forbid, say a representative of your bank, has something important to discuss over the phone and it's indistinguishable. Currently, you can distinguish it, and I see this a lot on YouTube. I don't know if you guys have seen those videos of like it's something silly on YouTube. Like say it's like a cat video, and the narrator is just speaking in a way that is like it sounds real, except their inflections are very weird. Like, here is great thing about my cat. My cat is really cute. My cat does XYZ. And like it sounds like that, and just there's something weird and wrong about it. And it's like it's AI. You know, it's not a real person. It's So I don't know. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling. I'm definitely Monday brain right now. So. By the way, before I get too carried away, we are at that time to pick a shark for next week. I could pull open some suggestions. I guess the generational thing, I just trust Big Brother. Yeah, I mean, well, that's valid. I mean, as far as just like, we are in an age of disinformation, and that's really scary. And I think for me, I'm very scared of, or not scared, but like, I'm very wary of what jobs could AI replace. One, and like the displacement in the workforce from that's something I'm worried about. And then two, can it spread disinformation? Can it it could, like, can it be used maliciously in that way? Especially when you think of things that are open source where we are the inputs, so, and we're not reliable narrators, like the collective of humanity is not a reliable narrator per se. So yes, Howard, or sorry, Bruce, it's the corporations you have to fear, not the government. Agreed with that. So ma'am, yeah, just it's a freaky age. I really appreciate like in the United States right now, there's a lot of conversation about building community and just kind of like touching base with each other and kind of checking in with each other. And I think that's extremely important. And I think you can apply that to AI as far as like just keeping in touch with family, friends, making sure you have those human connections. I think there's something about that will relate and does relate. And, just like, it's going to be important as we get into an increasingly like, strange world as far as the AI stuff goes. So, but anyway, as far as a shark for next week, I think we could probably go back to squaliforms because there's probably a lot of cool deep water species we haven't really covered yet. So, let's see. I had one. I think I had one a week ago. I'm gonna put on some small-spotted catshark footage. I'm gonna put on a long clip, kind of slow it down too. Well, actually, no, not this one. I'm sorry. This is the mating clip. Hold on. Sorry about that. Hold on. There we go. This one's really cool. This is the BSAC British. Sorry about the noise. Yeah. Oxynotus, prickly dogfish. Let me know, guys, if there's a... Oh, this one's actually really cool. The Azores dogfish. Or actually the whitetail dogfish. I don't think we've ever done these before. So this one looks actually really interesting. What do you guys think of Schymodelaceus albicauda, the whitetail dogfish? Because it does look kind of cool. I don't think we've ever done Schymodelaceus before. Albicauda. Schymodelaceus albicauda. Whitetail dogfish. Oops. Okay. And I can pull up a photo of that. So. this one, yeah, this one might be really cool for next week. So. Yeah. Let me know what you guys think about this one. Thank you. So awesome. All right, so glad we're covering the shark for next week. So white-tailed dogfish. Okay, and awesome. But by the way, guys, I'm intentionally like the chat's totally fine. I also really appreciate we can talk about politics in the chat and kind of keep it I don't want to say civil because like everybody's really cool on the stream, but I really do appreciate that like in the United States is a very tense time right now, and I appreciate just kind of like the conversation in chat being nice, because like honestly this is a community for and I intentionally try to stay away from explicit politics, just because I do want to create a space where everybody is welcome, because we are unified by sharks here. So I do want to just kind of make that clear. I'm not ignoring you guys at all as far as the conversation. I am intentionally trying to just focus more on the sharks and kind of create a space where everybody is welcome shark-wise. So and I do appreciate your conversations, and just everything is fine, just as long as like there's no ad hominems or anything. As long as like we're respectful, and everybody was totally fine. So, but I think it's probably important for me to kind of say that, like, just as long as you're here for sharks, and as long as like, you're more than welcome to comment whatever you'd like to comment. Just as long as it's like not attacking anybody. As long as there's like we're coming to that space. In a positive way, it's totally cool. So, but I really appreciate you guys' discussion. So thank you. And honestly, we need more of that in the world. As far as just kind of like, it's cool to talk and agree and disagree. I think there's a lot of parts of the world that if there's a difference of opinion, people lose their minds. And there's some subjects where that's appropriate, and then some subjects where it's like, well, we live in a tense climate. So, but. Yeah. Oh no, yeah, you're fine, Howard. I just saw no sorries needed or anything. So yeah, we're cool. So, and thank you for sharing, Bruce. Actually, I will say that community call, and I am just gonna say this just because I think it's something we can all agree on. That community call did come from AOC, and I actually really appreciate that. She did make a video talking about it's important to have community, and I think that's a good message regardless of where you are, like where you stand politically. Like, I think that's a very healthy message in general. Just connect with your people, like, and I think getting back to the subject of AI and like the future of where are we gonna go, where there's so much like disinformation, there's so much like automation, where is that going to take us? I think community is a remedy, and I think there's strength in that. So I think it's a good message overall. So, but we have so many more papers. I will hop to, and I know we're almost at 11, so I will hop to one that I think will be kind of cool to, because we'll probably just be able to get one done. But let's see. Presence and potential effects of microplastics to vegetable tract. I'm going to hop to one that might seem really cool. Okay, this one actually might seem really, really cool. Adapting to a pollution hotspot, cat sharks shift to plastic substrates for oviposition. Alright. So, highlights. Actually, I guess this is how this journal does this, Elsevier. Because I haven't really seen a journal have this kind of breakdown where you have graphical abstracts like this and then highlights like this. So, plastic debris are common oviposition substrates for cat sharks. This is actually kind of cool. I kind of like this like teaser to an abstract. So, Let's see. Plastic debris are common oviposition substrates for cat sharks. Oviposition on plastic debris occurs preferably when biological substrates are not available. The most common artificial substrate was ghost fishing gear. Such behavior may become prevalent as habitat-forming species decline. I think you guys are probably familiar with ghost fishing gear, but this is it's just like a net that's been abandoned, and it's unfortunate because it still kills animals even though it's not retrieved. On a positive note, though, there are some really cool scuba diving efforts. Patty does a good job with this. I think SSI does a good job with this too, where it's like, I think it's marine ecology divers, but these people like will go in the water and they will actively look for these nets, and they'll actively remove them. It's a really cool mission that they do, and I really appreciate that. So because I know a lot of this stuff is really depressing, but it's kind of cool to see those little moments where it's like, oh, humans with a positive impact, or humans remedying things. So which I really like. So such behavior may become prevalent as habitat-forming species decline. Plastic fish interactions may potentially impact cat sharks' survival and dispersal. This is so random, by the way, but I don't know if, like, this is extremely random. My fiance loves certain anime, and I loved Miyazaki movies, but I never really got into anime. So the one that we're watching right now is called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which is really bizarre and a lot of fun. But it's also bizarrely comforting, extrapolating to the world, and I'm really surprised by that. But it's like there's so many situations where the characters that you like and care about are pushed to the brink, and their situation seems completely hopeless and futile, and then they figure out a way, like a workaround that the audience has no idea, like, oh wow, that makes sense, and like, oh, I didn't think about this before, and they'll push back and fight back and come out of that situation. And I have to say, it's really encouraging. And I know that sounds bizarre, but I do apply it sometimes to ecology and conservation, as far as like there's so many bad stories out there, and there's so many like failures out there that it can be really depressing. I remember I did a lecture for younger kids. I guess they would be Gen Z, because I would be a millennial, so they're like Gen Z at a college, and they were really, really down, and like really, like, I would say pessimistic about ecology and conservation, to the point where I don't really know how many positive examples have been modeled for them. And I was kind of not pushing back, but like kind of like offering examples of like, hey, I mean, yes, like China has a huge impact, like as far as pollution goes. Like, yes, consumerism like really does like drive like these industries that ravage land. Like, these are things that are real. It's valid to be really upset about them, like, for sure. But it's not the only force happening in the world. It's not the only thing going on. And for example, I mean, there are success stories locally. We did bring striped bass back in the Chesapeake Bay, which is kind of unheard of. That was a very well managed fishery that did very well. There's a lot of American fisheries that actually are handled correctly and actually do create future generations of fish for future, like, it's like the justification is like future marine resource use, but as far as like the holistic environmental perspective, these are success stories. Bald eagles, a huge success story, and probably one of the oldest, where they were really pushed to the brink as far as DDT goes. And now they're okay. They're really okay. We actually have a lot in Virginia, which is a lot of fun. And also just a lot of other parts of North America as well. I forgot the physics behind this, but the ozone layer apparently is starting to heal, which I was blown away by that. I was like, really, is how? And it's very complicated. I know it's beyond the stream for now, but there's success stories. There are moments of success and moments of bringing species back. and species that are enduring really well. I'm very encouraged, shark-wise. I'm very encouraged by the fact that even today, we do have quite a few animals that are least concerned or just not at all affected by human input or human impact, based on where they live or based on their lifestyle. So deep water sharks, great example of a lot of sharks that just don't really see humans and don't really feel the impact. But then Port Jackson sharks, which lives in New Zealand and no one wants it. Like no one fishes for those. They just kind of sit, squat, and comfortably in their rocky habitat. Those are sharks that are doing really well. Atlantic angel sharks slash sand devils. That's a shark in the United States that is doing extremely well, and no one really messes with it. No one really interacts with it. It's one of the least caught sharks in American fisheries because it lives on the seabed and just spends a lot of its time away from people. So there's a lot of... Oh, hey, Bruce, that's awesome. Salmon numbers bounce back to near normal levels around here. That is... I'm starring that. That's fantastic. Oh, yes. Howard, yes, I've seen a big shift in public mentality towards shark ecology. I grew up with post-Jaws anti-shark frenzy. That's a huge example, Whales. Whales are a huge example, too, where, whales are on the brink of extinction. And I still think to date there isn't a group of animals that has, or marine animals that has galvanized as much public support and as much, charismatic support and enthusiastic support as whales. Whales do command a lot of respect. Unfortunately, I know there's still a lot of work to do. There's Japanese whaling and that whole issue and everything. But in a lot of the world, there's strict regulations on what you can and can't do around whales. From how boating speed, areas you can boat. There's North Atlantic right whale critical habitat, which is really great. They get a lot of protections, which I really appreciate. So, an important note is both the carbon emissions for China and the U.S. have peaked. Yes, that is fair. That is fair, and that is important to note. Especially if the United States, once again, if they pull out Paris and Climate Accord and everything, all nations have to be held accountable, and it'd be really, we really shouldn't be pulling out of that at all, to be honest. We really shouldn't be because, the United States does have, as strange as it sounds, a very proud conservation legacy. I know that sounds bizarre given media and news and just kind of the discourse, but, there's a lot of great work done in this country as far as just conservation, and there's a lot of communities local both at the federal level but then also at the local level. There's a lot of interest as far as nature and ecology and preserving for future generations. Rachel Carson, very famous, the person who really kicked off a lot of the modern environmental movement. We have some leading figures here, and had some leading figures that really have changed the country and kind of the world in a more positive direction. So it's not all doom and gloom. This is a long-winded way of saying it's not all doom and gloom. There's light and darkness. There's a lot of wrong that is being done and has been done, but there's also simultaneously a lot of people fighting against that, which is, I find that very encouraging, and I really appreciate the energy of people wanting to preserve nature and protect nature, and doing a lot to actually do that. So. Bruce, so a chemical called CFCs were banned in the 80s, and now with most of what was used decompose in the ozone layers can recover. That's so cool! Oh my gosh, that's so cool. So that's really encouraging. That's one of those things, I remember when I was a kid, I was like, how can you fix that? And that's actually really encouraging. There is actually, related to that, there is a carbon sink in the ocean that, last time I checked, and this was about probably 10 years ago, so I'm not caught up to date on the research on this, but there is a carbon sink in the ocean that scientists are not 100% sure what it is. My guess is it's maybe bacteria or algae, but there's certain parts of the open ocean, and I think specifically the Pacific, that actually trap carbon and kind of help capture carbon. And 10 years ago when I first heard of this, I didn't really know what it was. Scientists didn't know what it was. And I'm like, oh, it's probably algae or probably bacteria. or some kind of microorganism that's just capturing it. It's got to be algae or something, or phytoplankton or something. Because that's the only thing that makes sense to me. Because the Amazon rainforest is a huge carbon sink. It captures a lot of that carbon. But yeah, I mean, there's little things like that where it's there's things here that help. There's mechanisms here that I don't know. Just I guess again, my ultimate point is it's not all doom and gloom. So Howard, yes, thank you. There's still so much we don't understand. Yes, I definitely agree with that. I think our stream is also a part of a testament to that because we've covered. So now we're at 94 sharks, and the majority of them, they're not on Shark Week, and also more importantly, they don't have a lot of research behind them. They're either new or rare species that there's a lot of opportunity, and I'm really happy about that. As far as there's a lot of opportunity for future shark scientists to learn and discover and contribute as far as knowledge goes for sharks. So, oh my gosh. Before I get carried away again, also I love this conversation, guys. This has been a really great stream as far as just I really love our dialogue tonight. This is really fun, actually, and really really important. I really appreciate what we're all talking about tonight. So, but before I get too carried away, I do want to wrap up with this paper. So, abstract. Plastic pollution is widely recognized as one of the major threats to marine ecosystems. However, our knowledge on the ecological interactions between plastic and marine fauna is still limited. Here we analyze the substrate preferences for egg laying, so oviposition, in the small-spotted catshark Scyliorhinus canicula, and explore the influence of pollution, environmental conditions, and fishing pressure as potential drivers. For the first time, we report this catshark species using marine debris for egg laying, oviposition, unraveling a behavioral shift in the oviposition substrate preferences towards plastics, particularly ghost fishing gear, when biological substrates are unavailable. That's really interesting. It's kind of scary. But, so the shark is actually attracted to or using drift nets and things. Interesting. Our results indicate this behavioral change may be driven by the combined effects of plastic pollution and habitat degradation. Preferences also change with depth, with larger preference for the hydrozoan on the continental shelf, followed by sponges, as in this region, mesophotic and deep benthic communities are still more abundant, although impacted by human pressures. In contrast, on a continental slope, the preference shifts to tube-dwelling polychaetes and plastics, primarily ghost fishing gear, due to the limited availability of biological substrates in the region. We highlight that plastic-fish interactions may become increasingly recurrent as plastic substrates increase the habitat, forming invertebrates decline due to trawl fishing and other anthropogenic activities, especially in the Mediterranean Sea. Ooh. The implications of this behavior for catshark fitness are still largely unknown, which prompts further research concerning the potential impact on its survival and or dispersal in the plastic age, and highlights the urgency of preserving biogenic habitats. So that's really upsetting. Again, this is a shark species that is doing well. It is a least concerned species. But it's very upsetting to see that it's actually laying eggs on ghost fishing gear. So, in what region was this again? On the continental shelf, the shark will choose hydrozoans and sponges. As in this region, mesophotic and deep benthic communities are still more abundant, although impacted by human fishing pressures. On the slope, so the shelf is okay, which is kind of ironic. You would think it'd be the opposite. So the continental shelf is okay, where the shark can still find hydrozoans and sponges to lay its eggs on, but the slope is not doing as well because the shark, it will have the tube worms that it's laying its eggs on, but then also the ghost gear. I wonder if this has photographs. It probably does. So this is a little scary. It's kind of interesting. It does remind me of oh wow, a large accumulation of small-spotted catshark egg cases attached to a fragment long line. A subset of these egg cases with more detail in the attachment mode. So this kind of reminds me of Blue Planet, I know I keep talking about Blue Planet, but Blue Planet I'm increasingly appreciating as like, a nice intro to the ocean. Emphasis on the word intro because the ocean is very complicated and there's a lot of life forms. And Blue Planet focuses on like the big charismatic ones, but for the most part, sometimes it will do smaller animals. But Blue Planet did have a good episode where it was showing things like plastic buckets and plastic pollution that created new habitat in the open sea where animals will colonize it, like barnacles and things. And then those colonies in turn create habitat for other things, and they in turn create habitat for fish. And it's weird because it seems like that's beneficial. However, think about how the plastics break down, creating microplastics, creating issues for the environment in general. Similarly, with this ghost gear, I don't think this is beneficial at all. And the article's not saying it's not saying it's beneficial or anything, but it's maybe not directly hurting the sharks, but it's hurting their habitat. Like the sharks might be able to hatch and swim around all of this because they're small enough to, but it is still definitely hurting their habitat. And then I think one interesting thing to consider would be, how does the ghost gear, the plastic in that, break down? How does it impact the surrounding environment? And is there any way it could impact embryonic development? I would say probably not. My guess is it probably wouldn't because the shark is protected by its egg case. And I don't really know. I mean, plastic infamously breaks down over a very long period of time, so I don't know if there's an immediate threat to the sharks. But still, it's very concerning that there's that much ghost gear in the Mediterranean that the sharks are actually starting to shift a little bit in their habitat preference for laying their eggs. So this is also a very good study. I'm going to see if I can copy and paste this into the chat. Probably won't be able to, so I won't be able to. I don't know. Maybe this is a weird feature of my streaming service, so I'll have to update that. But anyway, so to leave on a more positive note, again, this is a really cool channel, the British Sub-Aqua Club, so I highly recommend subscribing to them. The main host here is a diver of the British Isles and shows a lot of cool marine life, and is also bringing like wildlife awareness. I guess I could say conservation awareness to this area, so that's pretty cool. But it's 11, so I think I'll wrap up for tonight. But thank you guys so much for watching. This was a really cool stream. I like how each stream is like a little bit different. And this one was a little bit more serious, but I think that's a good thing as far as just like talking about like the world, AI, pollution, conservation, the battle of conservation, and the positives and negatives, that have developed in that struggle to protect the world, protect Earth's inhabitants, and just sharks in general. So, but I really appreciate everybody's discussion and contribution. You guys are awesome, and it's a really great community. And I'm glad that we're all united by sharks, and we're here to learn more about them and to appreciate them and to talk about them in a meaningful way. And it's cool to see how they intersect with a lot of these subjects. That this is a shark-focused stream, but it does open the door to a lot of bigger subjects that I really appreciate discussing with you guys. So it's super cool. Thank you, Howard. Great footage tonight. Thanks, Zach. Thank you, Bruce. Oh my gosh, thank you guys. Love having you here. Tune in next week for our new dogfish. It's going to be really cool. We've never done Scyma delacius before, and it looks pretty tough. So I don't know much about it, but I'm excited to break into a new genus of shark with you guys. But thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your week. Stay warm from the cool weather, and I will see you next week. So for stream 95, we're almost at 100. But cheers, guys. Have a good one. Bye.